have, the cards on the table here. They have more things to show on Oregon that are gonna spook an IF out the door. It seems like, I'd assume, but I could all tell you wrong.
I mean, after all, both teams picked maps that they've won and beat teams on previously, so both teams, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the strategy they're sticking with. So, getting into the match, what are these teams going to ban? IF like Thatcher. They like banning the Nomad. 2 bans common on Oregon, but ooh, a Flores ban. They don't play Flores all that often, but he is certainly a powerful op on Oregon.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of shields you've seen when it comes to elbow, when it comes upstairs and attic. Flores can be an important tool to dealing with those shields and making headway on that utility game. Thatcher ban on next, it's the same old, same old.
Pretty much, unfortunately. Parabellum, doubt they're going to ban the Valkyrie. We've seen how much they ran it today in their earlier game. If it's going to be any common ban, probably the Mira would be the one that come out. They certainly like to ban the Mira as opposed to the Valkyrie. Yep, that'll be the one as well. Not something they really play on Oregon all that much. It's an operator they ban pretty commonly as well. But I imagine for IF, they're going to have to take that Valkyrie off the board, Benny. I mean, we saw how well PB and Eska especially played it earlier.
Yeah, I would say they've probably done their homework and watched that game and like, yeah, we can't let them have that tool. They cannot be allowed to have that information.
So overall, I'd say the Flores is definitely the most off-ban out of these three, both in these teams, because IF certainly getting it off the board doesn't really affect them all that much. They're not big Flores players, so if he's going to destroy a lot of those shields, good play. But Benny, during the Wichita Wolves game earlier, you and I were both like, the Ying, the Ying, the Ying. Are we going to see the Ying? Is it going to happen? And we saw it one whole round. We see it right now, but could this be a misnomer? Do you think, I was about to say, do you think they're going to 6-pick it? Because I have a feeling they might.
You're totally right.
There it is.
Because it's always been the Finca. The Finca's been brought by every single team. And Arrow, of course, will 6-pick it off of a 2, because if you was watching the game earlier, PB 6-picked it probably 2 or 3 times during that Wichita Wolves game. And they just never brought the Ying, never came out.
Can be very powerful, not only in general, but PB, while they haven't been playing as much recently, mentioned earlier in the first game, they are historically known as a team that they used to like to bring Ying on Oregon, not so much anymore. Part of IF's improvement was bringing Oregon on, say, attacks like Basement, but in this game so far, again, it's just kind of like an option where you bring it out to maybe scare the defense a little bit, see if they adapt. IF have done their homework with that Warden 6, because they're like, we know what you're doing. We're not going to bait it and think you're bringing the Ying and bring an op whose utility will be useless. They'll instead rotate. Do a mute, Benny. Always useful op on Oregon.
Always great ops. They have the shields, they have the mute jammers. There's no this. It's gonna be perfect. C4, exactly.
What's
it's a great one. It's nothing. There's no.
It's got the kit. Shotgun 2, like just mute is. Unironically, mute is actually my favorite op to play on Oregon. Great kit.
I'd say, well, mute in general, besides even Oregon, is just a good pick. Like there's a reason why they nerfed mute. He was literally the jack of all trades that could do so much for teams. So it's not crazy to see him nerf. They changed, they didn't do anything crazy. They just changed how the mute jammers work when it comes to error effect. But either way, you see those drones being stopped from the get-go, throwing it right into a mute jammer to start us off, and we see IF holding towards that trophy side, towards that armory side. We saw them PB earlier today, and when Wichita Wolves were attacking on Oregon, they really didn't even try to touch that extension. They even tried to push it on head on. And Giddy running around on the 4 side. He was in kitchen. Looks like he's running off in the small tower, maybe to peek someone outside. I guess a quick spawn peek.
Or maybe just to open up a line of sight later on. He is playing security right now, so if he reads that none of PB is going to push that side, say we're like a minute or 30 seconds left, he can rotate over, maybe run out, get somebody big window. Not entirely sure yet, but we'll see what Giddy's plans are in the meantime. Of course, some X-Kairos pellets are destroyed. That's unfortunate for him, but Penguin still has something he can open up the wall with. Nothing to worry about. They got that mute jammer off the wall, and here we go. We do see one person rotating over to small tower. It's Spirit sitting outside of there right now, and PB often like to go for this kind of take, and you could see he sees the open window that is normally barricaded. He's even marked it like, guys, there is something up with that. Just watch it. Just watch it. Be careful.
Well, Enrio's on the big tower side. We see 2 members trying to go for big tower. It looks like he's been droned, and it's actually, there looks like they have rotations between big tower and attic. I wonder if at this point, IF would late reinforce it, but actually Enrio's looks like he's trying to stay for the moment, but yeah, it's too late to late reinforce it. He's gonna back off back towards site from that armory stairs side. Eska and Kool-Aid will probably be like, we got this control big tower. Let's start opening up the wall and making your way into attic. Start pushing those players out. And so far, it's that game's attic play as you would expect. And where is IF's aggression to make it difficult for them? Because that's the next step. You can't just let the attack do what they want.
Well, maybe not some aggression, but certainly a good play by Inrio. Got this hatch open, and oh no, they look away from it. They forgot about the Jaeger. They saw him in Big Tower earlier, but he did not rotate back to site. He sat below that hatch. It went unread by PB. Now they're a man down. Eska's got to recover the diffuser, and he's alone inside this attic push. There might be somebody to support, but he manages to dash on through. He's getting the plant down on concrete, and the coverage is perfect for the moment. 3v5, but no! Right as it happens, he almost gets the bomb down. Arrow rotates through, takes his head off, and Penguin falls soon after. Seemed like PB had it unlocked, but they had the right play. But unfortunately for them, because Kool-Aid fell in attic, and nobody watching, Eska's behind.
Unfortunately, yeah, that was, you know, all the right cards you would expect for that attack. But when it comes to the execute, though, one big piece falls off as you're doing the execute, and you know you can't cover him if you don't have your angles, you know, have your bases covered in that. And you know, you saw right there, Arrow gets for that kill, denies the push in, denies the plants, and just really, it's the fact that Parabellum went for that execute. It was still 5v5. Really, everybody was still alive.
They certainly were not as successful getting some kills early on, but then again, nobody from IF was really putting themselves in positions aside from Inrio later on. But he rotated into Big Tower, got some intel, made him worried, rotated back down, and then at that point, PB, it was late in the round. They were going for their execute. You saw Kool-Aid and Eska pushing on in, and everyone else from PB was preparing to aid them once, hypothetically, the Maverick and the Sledge make their way into concrete. So nobody was on those drones. Nobody was watching or seeing if there was a cutoff inside a meeting. And he was able to get that kill through the hatch, and that's probably the defining point of the round, is because you don't have that player who can watch Eska inside of attic. Now, an immediate rotation by F, not to basement, not to dining or meeting, or not to kitchen or meeting, but to dining and kitchen. By far and away, probably the most uncommon and unpopular site on this map, but we're seeing something different, Benny. We see a mute jammer placed on top of that little balcony. We also see a little bit of an extension into small tower. Not really an extension because it's like directly outside the site.
Ooh. Seen this before though. We've seen Parabellum do this before. I think we've seen other teams do it too, where you have, you know, that hole made so you can watch that window and have someone play inside of that top of a small tower. And you know,
this is definitely a PB strat.
Yeah, we've seen this a lot before. The teams have adapted it after seeing PB do it, where you know you have that hole to cover the person in the small tower. You have the shield to aid that, and the player upstairs, especially Giddy now, who's playing Warden. Even if there is no Ying, the fact of the matter is that usually will try to flash this player out or grenade them out. And playing Warden, you can at least nullify one of those two options. You can't nullify a grenade without an ADS, but at least you can nullify the flashes. And so far, grenade comes out, gets nullified immediately, pre-fires onto him, and so far, how long will it take Parabellum to try and defuse this small tower roam?
It's sort of ironic because I think actually you're right. It's jogging my memory. Penguin always would play this position inside a small tower with a very similar setup. But that mute jammer has already done away with 2 drones from PB. A nade has been absorbed by an ADS as well. So the util clear not exactly the best from PB at the moment. With Penguin out of flashes, they're running out of burn quickly, but they also have 8 nades total. A lot of them have been used, but they certainly have a lot, but they're not reading into Inrio. Rotating up, peeking out of that big window, as all of PB's focus is distracted by Giddy, who is now finished off. Inrio was able to get a pick on one of the hard breachers of PB.
Well, with a kill, at least they've gotten that pick. They've cleared out that small tower, but with a trade, losing that Maverick, but they don't really need the Maverick to open up this wall into showers or open up the wall into sight. But they still wasted a bit of time. IF still had, you know, some of that goal in mind, and they were able to come away with something from that roam. And so next thing quick is what is Parabellum's next move. They have small towers, so they can create that vertical play and push out those players who may be inside of dining, but nobody's there for the moment. Nobody really plays that session because it's so difficult to try and stop them. But the player in showers is the next person to be the target, because that's a crossfire. No, we went for a second. Like maybe trying to bait.
I was about to say, I think maybe he was just trying to bait some of those Shumika grenades out. Yeah. I saw him going for a second. I was like, wait, are we doing this? Are we executing now? Okay, we're not. Okay, we're all good.
Oh,
so...
that sucks. You can't.
That is... Yeah, clearly trying to make his way through that hole, and unfortunately, Penguin will bait out some more Shumika grenades, but he continues sticking the plant. I think the grenade might have actually gone a little bit too far back behind Penguin. Yeah, it's not damaging him whatsoever. He can make that... Get that bomb on the floor, and 2 members, Subarctic and Arrow, have both died since then, so it's just Vivid and Inrio on a 2v4. Now, keep in mind, These two players have already clutched a post plant today, but it was not as drastically against them as this one is in this case. But Spirits is on low HP. Inside of showers as well, his position is known. Vivid, his Shimiki grenades aren't going to do as much in the post plant. Inrio and Vivid are both going to have to take these gunfights. Another member of PB taken low. Vivid finally takes one down, but Spirits is already on low HP, and Melted has the proper angle. Time is running out for Inrio, who's doing his best inside of showers, but look at this angle held by Penguin. Even if Inrio suddenly miraculously kills Melted, which he does soon after, the time is already eclipsed. Penguin had the angle anyway. PB will take their first attacking round despite Inrio's quad kill.
And that is it. That's usually the reason why teams don't play that site, because once you have control of small tower, you open up the wall, you somewhat, contest showers, at least making sure you can't push showers and get that crossfire on the planter. You get that plant down, and it's just like a lot of other sites and many other maps where once you get the plant down, they back off the small tower, they have the long angles, they have the optics in hand with the rifles, and they just wait. That's the reason why a lot of people don't play that dining section as much compared to meeting, because meeting, at least if you have control attic, if you have people inside a meeting with the corners in that meeting room, you can still in a way get back in the meeting and contest that plant, contest the players before the plant happens, because a lot of times you really can't contest that. Once they clear out dining, like nobody plays in dining. It's so difficult with that vertical pressure.
Yeah, usually play further back, but in that case, as you said, I think we hit the nail right on the head. And now we get to see IF go from that not commonly played site, go down to basement, a site that not only is everyone much more familiar with, but IF is as well. Actually, one big, I remember, I don't know if the last time, no, because IF played Fernies and then they played Nocturnes. Or they played Nocturnes before they played Fernies. But one big moment that I remember you and I, when we casted this game, that IF had on their defenses was Nocturnes, even with the Ying, would just play perfectly into this setup. I believe with Arrow or Vivid playing on the laundries, or playing on the laundry machines, and then when Nocturnes would come down Freezer, they would get slaughtered the moment they entered that place. Parabellum, if they go for that same take, IF certainly have a very good repertoire of countering Freezer pushes based on this setup. Now, of course, Mira is banned, so it's not going to be as easy, and PB might go for a different take, but if that's the play PB go for, you best believe IF has their work cut out for them with this setup they like to run.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's going to really come down to utility usage from Parabellum, trying to clear out the players inside of Laundry, whether it be by grenades, smoke canisters, whatever they might have available. They don't have smoke canisters. They have a lot of grenades, though. But yeah, they would need to somehow deal with that long-range fight from Laundry side, deal with the shield inside the hallway too, but they have the grenades to do it. They have 4 sets of grenades to work off of, so they have a lot of explosives to use to deal with shields, deal with utility, to really put a dent in IF's utility game in their gadgets. Let's see what they do first, if they even go for, like I said, even if they go for that play, though, they could always just go for a back tower play like we've seen before, like we saw earlier as well. So, well, first of all, just open up the hatches, go to work, see what's happening, what is IF doing, cooking up.
Plus, since Maverick is unbanned, even though that Cade's on the board, and 2 of those Electro Claws are likely allocated to the server hatch, as you can see, or the Freezer hatch, as you can see currently, and probably the meeting hatch as well. Thankfully, because that Maverick is on the board, you don't have to prioritize those hatches. You can open up whatever you want, but instead they're just sending it down Freezer pretty quickly, or just gaining some early intel. Eska sledges open the door, but he's not going to send it just yet. He's got that barbed wire there, likely going to try to take down that Electro Claw, unless Kool-Aid continues to Maverick it, which is what he's doing currently, but then later on, try to burn those magnets and then nade out Subarctic playing in this position. And of course, if Subarctic doesn't rotate, he could very well lose his life, but that's why he has Arrow there for support as well. See if Eska gets over aggressive. He has a teammate there who can capitalize.
Yeah, so far it just seems like PB are just going through the motions, drawing things out, opening up hatches, doing the prep work, and figuring out what is the good play going to be. Where is the exploit? Where's the weakness in this defense? What do we want to go for? E-Box Hatch looking to try and open it up, see if they can get Vivid, because Vivid's playing barrels. They want to open the wall up and seeing an angle in them, but of course, Giddy's playing close. He shot off the first set of Excaliburs, but he won't show up the second one, so at least now he tried to. Well, again, actually, never mind. He'll shoot both sets of Excaliburs off, so nobody can play that, unfortunately. They can't get that open angle on Vivid, and he's just still sitting there. Time is going down to drop, actually. They're going for it. Giddy gets both of those kills. A third, no. Giddy finally gets fragged out, so this Inrio and Arrows there trying to come back and capitalize on his movement. He does so perfectly with Subarctic. It's now Spirits in a 1v2, and Vivid will finish him off.
And that was just a beautiful defensive round by IF. You saw how much, not only were they setting up for a Freezer laundry take, but that's what PB were going for. But then at about the halfway point in the round, PB rotate to a back take, and at that exact moment, Subarctic, who was the first line of defense inside of Freezer, rotates to the shield and bunker and starts layering the bunker door with magnets. IF rotated the exact time PB rotated, and by the time PB had dedicated the rest of their utility to opening up the hatch, trying to make their way down back tower stairs, IF had already rotated, and we're rotating and layering up all their utility on that backside as well. The fact that Giddy was just able to stay inside a sight and shoot all of those X-Kairos, that's normally what PB like to do. They put one on the top left of the wall, put one on the top right, and force the player playing an E-box to decide which one to shoot. In this case, Giddy's able to get them all. He shot every single X-Kairos that PB shot, and so you don't have that pressure on the player playing just below the big tower stairs. They drop, Giddy's able to kill them all, and so do the rest of IF.
Yeah, I would say definitely the fact that IF read into it and rotated appropriately at the same time, dedicated utility, knowing that was going to be pushed because there was no time left. Good read from IF. We go back upstairs for another try from, well, not another try, another try for PB at least to win this out upstairs. Last time, it was that same, game's attic push, but that attic push didn't go well for them. They didn't have the coverage they need. It was, taken back by F, allows them, to stop the plant, to have another angle that they're expecting. So let's see how PB do it this time. Really, there hasn't been a change on PB side, except this time Ying is on the board actually for once.
We saw it in the very last round of the Wichita game, in which they tried to use it as their ace in the hole to send those Candelas in. But unfortunately, a lot of the Candela's impact was actually minimized, and it was the last one that kind of helped them out, but really in the long run, it wasn't actually the most effective, and PB just entered and got the kills anyway long after the Candela had flashed out. Bringing it out early here shows that PB, they're trying to get these rounds on the board. They're not keen to let them slip by. They're starting out on attack. They want to make the most of it, and that's what they'll do right here. We saw also previously, they tried to attack the dorms and the small tower side of things. Didn't go too well. They could go for a big window take with those Yings, but right now, mainly focusing on this master bedroom and attic side. Could rotate later on, but I imagine this is where they're going to dedicate the majority of their utility in the early to mid round.
No good stuff so far. They'll deal with the first shield inside a trophy. Oh, a little bit chance there for Arrow to get a shot on the Penguin, but he'll not take that opportunity. Unfortunately, he was not ready for it. Now, next part is, of course, destroying this mute jammer before the game's wall. Grenade comes out. Arrow looks at it and goes, whoa, I need to walk away from that one. He goes back to trophy, and he's looking for a peek, but upside down Eska. You don't want to take that fight. Upside down repels are so difficult to win when they only see the top of their head like that. So, again, this is still looking to be the same kind of take from them, but nobody's going to big tower. So maybe this is going to be maybe a games and a big window push or white stairs. Just with the Ying on the board, it would make sense to use those Candelas to try and push the big window, push into kids, push into bunks, frag out the players who are anchoring on site.
PB have certainly favored that white stairs take before, where they sprint up the stairs through the white rotate to try to get the bomb down. With Kool-Aid, where he's positioning right now, it looks like that's what PB are aiming for. But Subarctic and Giddy are both down below. Subarctic and Kitchen, Giddy a floor below, coming up the freezer stairs to support that Aruni once PB try to clear the Aruni out from freezer. But a nade is sailed out. Giddy walks directly into it. Unfortunate placement for him. No matter which way he moved, he was dying to that nade. Beautifully cooked by Eska. But do they know Subarctic is here? Kool-Aid pre-firing likely indicates that fact. He too will drop down below. Is he spotted? That is the question. He's trying to rotate back at the moment, and so right now it's all on the defenders on the site. An effective 5v3 to hold off the attack of PB. Arrow gets the first kill onto Penguin, but that's not the person with the bomb. It's Kool-Aid holding that. Melted on the entry gets one, but Arrow's gone unread inside of attic. Post-plant situation now. 3v3, even man count. One sitting prone on the bomb. That's an easy shot for Kool-Aid, or for Vivid, onto Kool-Aid. But this is the problem. Spirit's outside a big window, can't see the diffuser. It's all up to Eska, who's rotating up. He's taking down Spirits as well. Eska doesn't have time. A beautiful post plant by IF. Arrow gone unread. And curiously, unordinarily, poor positioning from PB.
Yeah, PB went for that plant up white stairs like we talked about before. They get that plant down through the rotate, but it was a bit too close to the game's door. I guess what they were expecting was to use that window as that post plant, but nobody was in position to use it effectively, and the only person really to try to stop them would be big window or the bottom white, and you saw them try to rush back to get in positions to stop them from disabling the diffuser, but it was too late to that time. There's already a man disadvantage at that point because of the collapse from IF. All the members start being on red. They're rushing around. They're fighting at taking fights and winning them. Because that's really, again and again, we see IF win those kind of engagements where they're back against the wall, no time left, and they're just rushing for kills.
Overall, a very beautiful post plant by IF, trying to make that work. Unfortunately, lost the one earlier where Inreal got the 4K, but they've redeemed themselves now. I think they've actually won 2 post plants now in the past couple BO3s. Not something you see all too often, especially especially that kind of plant, the positions PB were trying to take are usually very powerful. So impressive by IF so far, showing their defensive prowess on Oregon. But Benny, 1 dorms, 1 basement, Do they go back to dining, or do you think they're gonna do kitchen or meeting hall instead?
I guess at least give meeting hall a try at least and see what happens. I would assume, but you never know. Maybe they have a different spin maybe on dining and kitchen. But I would assume they at least try meeting and see what happens because that dining
I'd
one
imagine.
was kind of catastrophic, a little bit.
It would, I would say once Giddy died, it certainly didn't look good. But
Yeah.
think about it this way: I mean, Giddy's playing that position with his life, and he still wasted a minute and 40 seconds. Now, does that happen if they try it again? If PB know what they're bringing and can redo it to it better, maybe he gets naded 30 seconds in, and that doesn't happen. But I agree. I think going to meeting hall and kitchen, especially when you've won your 2 primaries, you have 2 options of your tertiary, and it wasn't terrible on dining,
Yeah.
but there
It's
were
just
a lot,
it's that
a lot of
post
changes
plant.
you have to make. Yeah, that
Once
post
they
plant
get
is the
that
big
plant
one.
down, it's so difficult to retake dining. It is such a difficult task. Sure, they're crazy gunners, but they're not crack crazy.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
true.
interesting because like we saw the Finka, not Finka, we saw the Ying last round. Ying, besides the smokes, didn't really have that much of an impact actually.
That's true. It did
Go ahead.
transition to the white plant late, but because we saw Spirits was playing big window, so he didn't really
Yep.
have much of an option to use those candelas or those smokes, and the ones he used clearly maybe had an impact to get them into the site, but not much beyond that. We're not even seeing Spirits run it here this go around, and I think it goes to show that based on that round, Ying might not be the surefire bet that we saw it earlier. It's kind of weak during the Wichita game, and it didn't have much effect there. He's back on the Finka this time. Also, Benny, you know what I just noticed? You know you don't like
Hmm?
harping on players who aren't showing up, but Kool-Aid and Penguin both not having the best game so far. They are in hard support, so keep that in mind. It's not exactly
Yeah,
the
I
worst
try
thing,
not
but
to harp on it too much.
you know,
'Cause
I
this
know,
is-
but it's still, especially Penguin, who, by the way, actually, I stopped with this. Penguin rotated back to entry, and now he's on Hibana.
maybe he's playing like Shaiko.
Maybe that is true. Hey, once you get your X Kairos down, you can be an entry if you want.
Yeah, that Type 89 is a nice gun. That is a nice rifle to use. Should only has 20 rounds, but great fire rate, great damage. Oof. Oh, already Eska's in the building, pushing his way through. An arrow already
right.
gets the first kill within the first 20 seconds. I'm assuming he peeked out the front door, maybe? Yep, out the front
that'd be
door.
it.
And he gets the kill behind. Ooh, through the glass too of the van. Great shots from Arrow to start us off. And losing a Heartbreacher here isn't a big thing. He's still with a Maverick on board. But same point for that, like if you go for a big tower play or if you go into kitchen, that still is something you might use like Skyros for that play. But we'll see what happens. Maybe you still have a chance maybe to bring this back.
It's not unthinkable, especially on meeting. If they want to go for a stage play, you only got to open those 2 walls, but that's clearly not what they're going for. They want to execute on the dining and the kitchen side of things. Kool-Aid right now going to try to get a nade from below, and Rio is just currently standing there. This could be beautifully cooked, but no, a little bit overcooked. Or actually, no, undercooked would be the more accurate word. The second nade has a lot more impact, but neither resulting in a kill either way. Subarctic on 1 HP, so just 1 bullet will be the end of him. That is the question. Will PB get to a position where they can use that 1 bullet, or do they have to use another nade? As the IF's extension upstairs has been relatively unimpeded, unaffected so far, beyond the health taken away from 2 of their members.
Yeah, PB are still droning and they haven't touched this top floor whatsoever. And if they could try to bypass it and push into meeting, seeing as Arrow's the only one in there as they've droned him. But same point, if they have control of top floor, they can go for the attic, attic hatch and push back into sight, or maybe even go from armory stairs and push back behind them. Renee comes out onto Arrow, will do some damage a little bit, but so far I still don't really know what the intent here is from Parabellum. There are 2 players pushing upstairs. There's 2 people downstairs, but here's the push into Eska. Eska gets a kill. Great shot on the Subarctic. Refrag from Inrio. Where's the second player to refrag Inrio? It's Spirits. No clue where exactly Inrio went to, and there it is. The refrag. Melted elsewhere, gets Arrow. It's down to Vivid and Giddy on the site to try and stop the last 3 attackers of PB, which 2 of them are low.
2 of them are low. Vivid also inside of security. Giddy retaken up top as well. Now this is all on Giddy. I thought Vivid might have a bit more impact, but can Giddy find the diffuser? He's right below the hatch. If Giddy makes his time work, he can get the kill. Yes, he does. Exactly what he does. Diffuser on the floor in all the wrong ways for PB, and now they know somebody's up top. They rotate to meeting. Exactly what you want to do, but the hatch is open as well. You have to be incredibly specific with where you want to get this bomb down to make sure Giddy does not have an angle. He starts rotating to the hatch, but even if Spirits was directly below, it's far too late. We're at a post plant now, boys. Giddy has to decide, do I drop the hatch and play the vertical? No, I'm going to C4 the wall and rotate back down the stairs. The explosion does give his position away, And Melted and Spirits can play this trade. In all likelihood, he's going to try to come through that single door on top of the stage, and that's where both players have their sights trained right now. He baits out, tries to land the pre-fire onto Melted soon after. But unfortunately for him, the shots are not careening his way. He's losing health more than the damage he's dealing to Parabellum. Trying his best. He spots one for just a second, but the shots are still going wide, and the intel is not there. Parabellum finally answer back to get an attacking round on the board.
Still looking good. It's expected to see the defense win more of the rounds. So not too crazy here from either team, but the round is looking good for IF at first. They've gotten the picks they need early in the round, but that roam clear from Parabellum, Eska walking in. Sure, he does get refrag, but Spirits is the refrag mouse Melted as well. Elsewhere, just finding frags in that mid round when, of course, you don't want to see them happening for a team that had the advantage on the get-go.
There we go, Spirits.
Yeah, but you can't play also. It's not available. It's not available yet.
Spirits on the Hibana, Penguin on the Montaigne. 6-pick to the Hibana. I mean,
when was the last time you seen a Monty?
We actually saw it last match against Nocturnes in the very final round.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
Didn't work. They lost.
Oh, well, that's
very last round. Yeah, unlucky. But we have seen Penguin sometimes play the Monty. It has been quite a while since I've seen him play it. Certainly not in the regular season or playoffs so far, but he has brought it out as a one-off every now and then, and we know PB, when it comes to the final round of either games, halves, sides, what have you, they like to try to bring out one surprise in that final round to see if they can eke one more round off the board, and don't give IF time to react to that strategy. Of course, you have time to react. They got to do it in round. I'm intrigued to see what they'll do. It's obviously not going to be anything quick if they're using the Monty. Maybe to clear out Elbow. Not too sure. Or push down Freezer. I would say Elbow or Freezer are the two best bets for where we're going to see that Monty. Or back tower stairs. So 3, I guess.
Honestly, you can go anywhere with Monty, really.
That's also... I'd say we have about 6 or 7 good options for where that Monty could go.
6 or 7. But yeah, you could do Monty in so many ways, because like a lot of the issues with pushing down Laundry stairs is that crossfire between, Freezer and Laundry. A Monty could nullify one of those crossfires. You could push in and take control of, Laundry, take control of that rotate. So there's definitely a lot of ways you can use Monty. PB are going quick up here, though. Oh my god. Taking control of kitchen, opening up into Freezer, into security. They're just pushing quickly, pushing the kitchen, make sure there's nobody roaming, because I'm pretty sure they're joining and know nobody's roaming, so they have no problems doing this so far. And they're going to go straight to work to open these hatches, and that's the efficiency you want to see from these CL teams, because if you take any time, you're not going to have time to do that execute later on. But as we can see so far, nobody from IF is making any moves. They're just letting PB do what they need to do. And are they expecting Monty, though? Do they know he's here?
I imagine they don't know he's here just yet. I mean, Monty always has... You never really know they have a Monty until you hear the rumble of the Monty nearby. It appears that they're going for some kind of quick play. You see Eska prepped with the sledgehammer at the Freezer door. Penguin also pushing in the main lobby with the Monty right now. No, okay, maybe Eska's just going down for some intel to apply some pressure Freezer, but it looks like we can see Penguin, yes, rotating over to help Eska inside of Freezer, trying to get down and apply some pressure to these players playing in the back of it, but we've yet to see fully what this is and how it's going to affect the round. We do know it's probably going to involve Freezer and likely Laundry as well.
The smokes could help too, because we haven't seen much smokes from the side of PB, so maybe a good smoke might be able to help them deny angles from Laundry from that hallway. Grenade comes off Melted. Let's destroy that shield over by there. Grenade comes out. There goes the shield. It should allow for Penguin to push farther.
No, it didn't get it.
What? How did he not?
The grenade went too far. Arrow can still play behind the shield. The second one, though, does down him, but not before. Subarctic gets Penguin, the Monty that PB seemed to be favoring, though thankfully it's traded out, but the trades go back the other way. IF retained the man advantage, even more so now that Inrio tags on for 2 in tandem with Giddy, but 3 members of IF on low HP. Inrio, Vivid, and Giddy all below 50, but it's only Kool-Aid and Eska, the latter in Freezer, the former in Laundry, trying to push on in. Vivid has just run out of toxic canisters, so the time wasting, or any time wasted, has to come to gunfights. In the final 30 seconds, IF just have to wait. Wait for PB to move on in to make the play. They have a BP as well, watching to see if Kool-Aid pushes in from Laundry. A Banshee, a Prox, and a Gershmat mine all explode and ring out in Kool-Aid's face. IF can peek that and win that fight easily. Eska the only one left, a 1v4. Again, 3 members of IF on low HP. If there were ever a 1v4, this one seems like it. But with 4 members to fight, you have to contend and imagine all of these angles. And he puts his gun down the moment Vivid peeks. IF secure themselves a 4-2 half, which, starting out in Oregon defense, exactly what you want.
Expected to be
Pretty good
expected.
half.
That round was looking interesting for PB. They brought the Monty. They had the people in place for that play, but just unfortunate things happening. First, that first grenade dot destroying that shield. Second, Penguin going down. Pre-fire from one of the members in IF. Pre-fires through the wall. I believe probably hit Penguin right through the legs. Down he goes immediately. So there goes that Monty play. At that point, in a freezer laundry take without smokes, without a ying, without something to deal with those players pushing them away because the shield's still there. The shield finally did go down and the person behind did get grenaded. But that just gave off the signal for IF to start taking fights because they knew exactly where the play is coming from. They knew exactly what was going. There was no other play happening. There was no crazy, back tower push coming from them because all the plays had been ringed out, pinged. They knew what was going on, so they just started swinging. IF win most of the round, win all of the fights pretty much, really, in that fight, in that round.
And paralleling the final round, we see Penguin play the final attacking round on Monty, starting the first defense on Clash as well. Starting out on basement, the team is overall. Penguin, again, kind of like the Monty. Penguin also likes to play the Clash every now and then. He's always the one on this team, except like Spirits picking Blitz. That aside, Penguin is usually the one that likes to pick the off-op. Not that Clash or Monty are off. They're definitely a lot less common in lineups. Penguin is usually that guy that likes to bring it. We've also seen an increase in Ella on the defense. We saw IF bring it a lot on their defensive half on basement. Parabellum also likes the Ella. Spirits in particular likes to play it. And it's very good on basement. We also have an Echo in play as well, so plenty of utility since, because of that Valk ban, PB can't make the use of it like they did earlier during the Wichita game. Gotta rely on those Yokais for intel.
Yeah. Intel. You saw earlier they were even when Valk was available, they're still bringing both, Echo and Valk in some rounds too, which is crazy. But Intel is important for a lot of these rounds. So not crazy to see them bring it out. We'll see they're probably using, actively drone their members if they need to up that freezer stairs to, signify if they're being pushed or not to help their freezer players out. But IF, we talk about them a lot and we talk about how slow their attacks are. And we want to see them improve. We want to see them push faster. It's already been faster so far, but the Clash is going to be a big thing. Because so far, I don't think I actually have dealt with the Clash in the entire season. So seeing them, see if that culmination comes play, if that coordination comes here, they can actually stop Penguin from causing all of that time to go out the door.
It's also difficult because if they want to actively deal with that Clash, there's no Zofia to use her concussion, so they're going to have to rely on any 6 of the nades, in all fairness, on IF right now. They are running 6, so they have plenty. But if those nades aren't impactful and they use too many, there are 3 deployable shields that Parabellum have. Say that Gone 6 gets used for Inrio, they have to rely on those nades for. It's also a Twitch pick from Giddy, so they could use that Twitch drone to get some of the utility, like the Gishmat mines or the ADSs, since there's also no mute on the board, so you don't have to worry about that. But the first nade that I mentioned earlier gets used to try to deal with the Clash. No effect. Zip, zero, none whatsoever. And Penguin continues to bait on these freezer stairs with Spirits playing closely behind.
With half the round already gone too, IF at this point, they need to figure out a plan. They have to rotate towards the back tower, but because the Clash was on that freezer side, they're probably going to be expecting IF to rotate to an elbow back tower push. And the first thing to be fair, can they take control elbow? Can they stop these players at elbow, in barrels, Harry Potter, pillar on the side of PB that will be those mainstays to stop that back tower push from happening? Well, Inro will be the first one to try and, drone out and figure what's going on. Vivid will try to use those X-Scouts like we saw from Parabellum do, and I'm assuming somebody in Parabellum will shoot those X-Scouts off. Yes, Kool-Aid, the shotgun, will start firing them off, but actually 3 of them go off, so he can't play so far inside of barrels. He's going to have to push up now, further into elbow, which could be a position nobody from IF is expecting.
Ooh, Twitch drone shot as well that could have given intel to Giddy that Melted is playing close right, so somebody's going to have to actively check this angle. Hope they land a pre-fire. Right now, Penguin switches off the shield of the SMG, manages to get that kill. He's rotated the big tower as well, just like we saw from IF, where they rotated their utility to the backside to counter PB. That's what they're doing right now with the Clash, and Giddy did not read Melted's position. The drone shot too early denies him that bit of intel, and it's a 5v2 right now as Vivid joins the grave right after Giddy. Subarctic trying desperately to push in Freezer by himself. Again, a lack of intel results in him dying to Spirits. Arrow's the only one left in the 1v5. He knows this ain't happening. Kool-Aid still kills him nonetheless. Insult to injury. Parabellum win the first round in their defensive half.
Yeah, we've seen from our first specialty between these teams, PB know that IF are a slow attacking team, so what do you bring? A Clash to make it that much slower. And on top of that, you saw them rotate late for the execute on back tower, but they didn't have the pieces in place. They got some X-Cows off to try and push Melted out, but to push Melted in a place that they hadn't droned. Intel was lacking. intent was lacking there, unfortunately, because they had to figure out a way to try and bypass the Clash. And Penguin, even the Clash was still alive, so he just rotates over to where the X is going to be. You saw him get that first pick too with that SMG, that two-shot, or SPS MG, whatever it's called. And they probably weren't expecting that either. And then on top of that, you see them rush through Freezer, rush through his elbow, not knowing where these players are at, and they just again and again PB are capitalizing on that.
See a rotation, a 6-pick from the Yana to the Zofia. That's Inrio who did that. Not odd in terms of role, but odd because Inrio has been playing quite a bit of Yana in the playoffs so far. So again, it's Zofia. It's certainly entry with her. No problem in that regard. But it is a bit odd considering the precedence. He is normally on that Yana. You lose that Gon 6, that Gemini Replicator, and those nades, which again is an odd move because Parabellum are running Aruni, and Yana is the most direct counter to those Aruni gates. You just press 4, that clone activates, you sprint into the Aruni gate, deletes it immediately. Not to say that IF don't have projectiles to deal with it. They have Vivid's flashes. They have the concussions for Inrio as well. But again, it was an operator where not only did they have a lot of explosives to use, but also could immediately burn those Arena gates. But maybe they're just prioritizing the destructibility of the impacts, but also the fact that you can use those concussions to burn.
Probably in response to Clash.
Maybe that too, but we didn't even see the Clash faked out by Parabellum. Maybe they thought they were going to 6-pick it because they did last round.
They might have,
maybe?
yeah, because Penguin, maybe Penguin's going to play it again. You never know. So I guess maybe they're scared of how much to waste their time, so that's why they brought the Zofia. It's hard to say, but at the same point, yeah, I don't know. It's losing Yana for a Zofia. It's still that same sort of role you can argue.
It's not terrible.
It's not a terrible trade, but like you said, the Aruni is so viable and so prevalent on this top floor site. If you can read that they're going to the top floor, but we'll see what happens here. Again, like we saw from our previous Oregon earlier today, this extension from PB was never pushed by Wichita Wolves in their game. Then ours to jump out from Spirits. Giddy goes down. That's all out big tower, and you're definitely not going to read that.
No, unfortunately you are not. Well, maybe you should have a big tower drone just watching the area, but maybe Spirits shot it. We don't know exactly what happened if there was a drone over there, but we saw the exact kind of play from Parabellum earlier on their defenses. Eska jumped out of white window to get a kill. This go around, Spirits jumps and runs out of big tower to get a kill. Penguins also rotated into army for just a single solitary second. A nade explodes at his feet, does a little bit of damage. He's like, no, I'm okay. I'm actually going to stick in trophy. I don't really want to sit in armory by myself. That's kind of a terrible position to play at times. But Benny, this is the exact same setup. Maybe not the exact same, but a similar setup to what we saw earlier. They have these shields, they have the Aruna gates, and I actually haven't checked. Is there a soft wall in that bedroom wall still?
There's a soft wall, yep. It's probably going to get late reinforced in a second. Like, I'm pretty sure Coolid's coming to the late reinforce it. Spirit gets a kill, is traded out by Inrio, but the time is wasted. The kills are there for Parabellum. At this point, they're going to late reinforce, bunker down, and wait for the push from IF for this point too. Oh wait, can they even up the scoreboard by killing Eska? Eska at this point, he's just return the site, but maybe he's got a friend in Kool-Aid to help him out in this endeavor if he wants to go for these kills.
Sparktic nading is the best idea here, but Eska fully anticipates that. Not only did the nade go too short, Eska had got the hell out of dodge at that point, so no nade was going to end him. Enrio is holding the angle that Eska could peek, sees him for just a second, but despite the 100-bullet magazine, they all go wide. Enrio does not land that kill. Arrow finally trades him out with only 40 seconds left, and now Melted gaining demand advantage back for PB. What are Arrow and Subarctic left to do? Arrow will try to use the time he has remaining to nade, but nobody's even in that position. Goes to show the lack of intel that IF have right now. A nade completely wasted, no secondary utility left. The final two members of IF are just going to try to go for some kind of haphazard big window play. Arrow going up white, Subarctic with the diffuser, rotating over to that big window. And Kool-Aid is playing in front of there right now. A couple bullets fly through, he could die, and yeah, his back is to Subarctic, but oh no, he hops into a frost mat. Finished off by Kool-Aid, and then Penguin gets the final kill. Penguin and Parabellum have evened it up 4-4.
I don't mind that last part of that round, but I would say just the beginning of the round, just PB have figured out how to deal with IF at every turn so far. It's just, again, IF are not as slow. They've definitely got a lot better. They've improved over the season when it comes to the speed at which they take these rounds. They create that prep work, create that execute. But they're still slow in the, still in the grand scheme of things. They're still a slowish team compared to other ones. So at that point, IF are like, PB's like, okay, we're gonna run out. They're going for the armory to take you. They're actually pushing that extension. So someone runs that big tower, kills the person in the repellent armory. Great work from the side of PB. And then on top of that, you still have people running around downstairs that are getting kills too on top of it. You saw Eska running around, and it's just intel was not there for IF once again on this attack, and it seems like they're unfortunately not quite coordinated enough to deal with this crazy extensions from PB.
Well, and on top of that, that intel, but just Kool-Aid's play with that late reinforcement, then smoking off the door to cover it, it got Wichita Wolves. I would say confused them, but it definitely tripped them up on their attack. Did the same for IF. They go for the standard bedroom attic take. They come across this setup, and they're like, well, what the hell? We got to clear this out. And the moment they clear it out, Kool-Aid's like, smoke, detonate, reinforcement. You can't kill me. It's gotten Wichita Wolves. It got IF as well in that game. So that's the first 2 rounds for them. Seem to be going down to Meeting Hall Kitchen. That's the site they went to earlier against Wichita. It's the one they've selected here as well. I don't think any... I can't recall. Maybe you can remind me, but I don't believe we saw a super dedicated extension by PB. Did we? When they played this in Wichita earlier? I don't think it was anything crazy. Yeah. I think it was mainly like
this one.
It was like, I remember like somebody on Jaeger, maybe Penguin, sitting inside a T3.
Yeah, there was. I think it was either Penguin or Spirits did play T3 for a time, but then they would just back off when they wasted enough time or if nobody pushed it. I think Wichita Wolves did see that, but they didn't push Big Tower much at all in this meeting take though.
Well, either way, they are planning some kind of roam up top because normally when the attic wall might be maybe fully reinforced to try to make it difficult, allow the players inside of, say, dorms or generator, billiards, I suppose. I keep using the more specific call than the broader one. Dorms or billiards to play a bit more safely, attic as well, to open up that soft wall to allow for rotations between the two. So that way, you can have a little bit more fluidity up top, rotate down, or even, they forget, rotate and counter them if they try to go for a stage play. But Benny, we have it again. You have Giddy on the Ying. Sticking it this time. First or second Ying of the match, excuse me. Where are they coming from?
Where are they going? Connor Joe.
Are you kidding me? We are on the main channel and you referenced Cotton Eye Joe.
You said it first. I just had to keep going with it.
Okay.
Anyway, well, this big tower is being sieged by IF, but Penguin's there to help out this time. The does come out. Can they stop him? Can they freeze these players? And there it is. Arrow with the first pick on the Spirits. Penguin's there to try and help out. Can he get a refrag on those stairs? But nobody's really jumped in the tower just yet. C4 thrown wide by Penguin, hoping to get somebody and a refrag. But unfortunately, nobody's there. There's also a drone watching him too on that bar.
I have to say, that was a really smart play by Giddy. Even if that Candela gets Wamide, it's gonna explode and likely blind Spirits. So Arrow just peeks up, despite the fact that it got caught. Gets that kill. C4 going wide as well. Superb clear by IF, a big tower so far. What sometimes could trip other teams up, they have dealt with in a minute's time. And now they go for the rest of their take. Eska fallen as well, trying to get aggressive outside of the armory window. Enrio just rotates up. The down player escapes his life for just a second. And actually, not only does he try to impact Eska, the impact misses, destroys his teammate's own drone, and yet, Eska persists.
He's just waiting for it.
Actually, I only have 4 drones. That's actually kind of impactful.
That is very impactful. Losing 1 drone right there, and they might need those. Melted elsewhere, killing Arrow. I believe Arrow was playing on those stairs. They're pushing for the big tower take, though finally Eska does go down. But at this point, it's still a take for PB. They need to bring it back, though. They need to find kills and try and even this up, or try to figure out stopping that play, because really it seems like a big tower push, but losing 1 player so far in Arrow, they may try to rotate for a different push.
Well, are all coming the big tower way. Giddy with 2 Candelas. It's a 3v4 at the moment. I have holding that man advantage, but what I'm looking at right here is even if Giddy rotates up those stairs, Kool-Aid is playing close with that shotgun. Penguin getting oddly aggressive inside a big tower with he's getting pinged. Okay, that makes sense then. Try to make a play, get himself out of that. Pinched out by IF. Unlucky for Penguin, but there's a 2v4. We still have those smokes, Benny, and also the Yokai drones as well. So for 20 seconds left that IF have yet to push in, not looking terrible. A lot of things could be worse. Inrio also smoked out, but Kool-Aid on low HP. In all likelihood, this is going to come down to the Yokais and whether or not they're in a position where Melted can exploit them, but nobody knows. Kool-Aid is knifed Giddy as he walks over him, but it doesn't matter. IF still get the round in the end. I thought it was going to be Melted who made the big play there. Not only did Kool-Aid get one with the SMG, then knife a person who almost sat on top of him. It did not matter in the end, unfortunately. That would have been a highlight moment right there. That would have been the Gasher knife. That would have been the Gasher knife of playoffs if that had worked.
I don't know. Gasher knife can't be stopped, in my opinion, because that was a 1v1 too.
That's true.
That was also wasn't that for a match point as well?
That is in its own category of stardom.
Yeah, that's also for match point too. I think regulation match point. So it's like that you can never override that one. That was such a monumental round they needed. And Gasher knifes him. Like
If none of you know what we're talking about, please go back and watch the Oculus aerial game from the final week of playoffs. It was incredible. But anyways, back to this game.
yeah, back to
At least with that go around, Benny. I mean, IF they got tripped up on that big tower.
Yep.
Oh no, IF did not get tricked up on that big tower clue. Excuse me, that's important.
PB did.
PB did. Struggled a little bit to take down Eska, but beyond that, they did take a little while. They entered in the site, got the kills they needed, worked from there. Felt like it was pretty cut and dry for IF.
Yeah, if it was weird because they were really focused on the big tower. Once after clearing big tower, Parabellum also hung around, knowing that once you clear big tower, you can probably push off of that into an execute. But at that point, they were stalling out and trying to find the members in PB, which they did find Penguin, but they didn't know really where Melted or the other player were at. So they're still trying to figure out things. But as time ticks away, they're like, okay, we really can't do this. We gotta rotate at this point. They rotate into kitchen. They go for that play, and the man advantage is the big thing there. They can just walk in and trade kills. Even though Kool-Aid gets 2, it's a 4v2. There's only so much you can do there.
Well, and also here as well, PB, the past couple rounds, they've been playing a little bit more passive, not getting as directly in their face. Of course, a big tower extension is one thing, but you're not really taking gunfights there. You're just trying to waste time. Here, got a very extended roam. We got the Mute, the Mozzie, the Castle. We have all your usual suspects for an extension spanning over half the map, basically, is what we see from PB right now. And that's something that IF can sometimes struggle with. If they're denied that intel and the enemy team is getting aggressive and causing them problems, they can sometimes struggle a little bit to clear that out. That seems to be the case at the moment. Eska drops Vivid off of the big tower rappel. Diffuser dropped as well, but Subarctic can pick that up. But that's your Hibana on a basement attack. Ooh, that's brutal.
Yeah, 2 players in big tower. I'm pretty sure IF know both of them are there. Looks like may one have backed off below, and now Penguin himself also returned to site. At least he can shoot 1 drone, but he's sticking around. No, he's falling off. He's walking away. He's trying to see if somebody maybe will chase him, but only thing chasing him is a grenade, which will definitely cause him to walk away from the situation. So he's gonna go down the stairs. Still, 1 player on the side of PB is playing Pit. It's Spirits all the way off by himself for the moment. If they don't drone him out, if they don't have someone watching from, he could prove it to be a problem if this is going to be a big tower push. What I expect, and Penguins even running back upstairs too. Wow.
I mean, this is PB to a T, though. Every time we think they're rotating off, I feel like every time we cast, PB are rotating, Eska's rotating. Never mind, he was rotating to push them aggressively from a different angle. That always seems to be the game plan with PB for everyone except Kool-Aid, I will say. Except Kool-Aid. Everyone else likes to do that, though. At least going around here, it is a big tower take. IF. Minute 20 seconds left. Without that Hibana, they have yet... Well, this is unrelated. They don't have the Hibana, but they have yet to fully pierce the extension by Parabellum. They're opening the meeting wall right now, and thankfully for them, the meeting hatch is opened up to allow for a rotation back down the site for anybody playing directly inside of there. But they have to get into meeting first, and Eska is also currently playing split, waiting for them to walk in. Beyond that, not a lot of pressure inside a pillar. That might change momentarily. Subarctic and Arrow have both rotated into bunker. So with 45 seconds left, they have diversified to their take a little bit and also made some progress in terms of map control. But with that Maverick, it's going to be obvious what angle they're coming from. A C4 flies out. Arrow does not shoot it in time, but miraculously, they're properly positioned where the C4 touches neither of them. But it's still 30 seconds left. They've yet to enter the site or even come close to doing it.
Oh, but already here comes the kill. Subarctic in real start us off Spirits to respond in kind. But the person on the hatch is dead that was flanking. That was Spirits, who was upstairs at one time, but he's flanked up the hatch. He's been taken down. That's Melted and Kool-Aid to try and stop this, but there goes Spirits. He bleeds out. Melted grenade in his face. He's backed off in Freezer. So these 2 players have been pushed off, but Subarctic is going for the plant. Kool-Aid's in a great place. If he can swing this and get that kill and stop it, he does get the kill. Arrow retrade, and defenders with the round base of time. Oh my god, the perfect time for him to swing.
That is an absolute ridiculous from Kool-Aid. You can't even blame IF from that. If you saw the end of the round right there, at the exact moment Kool-Aid shot, Arrow traded them out. That was not a failure of coverage. That was quite literally biblical timing, to use CJ's word. Biblical timing for Kool-Aid right there. I mean, maybe you could say that IF could have been watching a little bit. They opened up those holes in bunker. They could have been watching. But I'm hard-pressed to fully lay the blame at their feet when basically Kool-Aid shot his bullets through a wormhole, and they ended up in the head of the plant.
There's definitely probably an argument saying someone should have been an elbow watching that rotate so Kool-Aid couldn't do that. But again, you're in the dying seconds of the round. You
They did
saw
cover him.
there was no time left. Arrows, they're trying their best to get that plant down in a 3v2 where they have no clue where anybody else, because you already saw there was like no drones left too as well. There was no info. So at that point, Arrow's like, okay, just go for the plant. I'll try and cover you as best as I can, and
Then-
he does. Well, he didn't actually.
Benny.
I'd say that he didn't cover him actually.
Well, he. I know he technically didn't, but in my opinion, he technically did. He got that kill. Like, he traded it instantly.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Technically, but he
okay. Beside the point, the round is over. But to go back on that just a little bit and apply the logic here,
yeah.
one big strength for PB in the early round was that they got in their face. Eska and Spirits were constantly causing problems for IF, whether actively by getting kills or passively by just being a presence they had to contemplate. On dorms as well, don't have the same offsite intel. Again, the Valkyrie is banned, so they don't have that. But could they get aggressive again? I mean, or maybe they don't need to, because remember, this dorm setup has so far remained impervious for them in playoffs so far. They're running the same one.
Is in play. They could go for a big tower push. Oh, not big tower. A big window push instead. We saw it work. We saw it almost work for PB for them on their attack. So maybe IF for this time try to not push that extension, use that Candelas and that Ying to use here, and push up white stairs. Push into kids from big window, like I talked about. We've seen it in past games. Though at the same point, I see him on the repel on armory, so maybe not.
Well, they might not be rotating takes, but at least they're aware that Spirits might run out of big tower. And Eska, I imagine, yeah, exactly. I imagine he was going to run out of that white window and arrow red into that. Yep. So exactly the same run out Eska did just a couple hours ago, and arrow read it perfectly. Opening duel goes to IF, and it has not been traded by PB, and I highly doubt that it will. However, they are still, as you observed, they are still going this exact same take, not rotating, and that means they're playing directly into all the utility of Parabellum. But if they can clear out Penguin, or make it a bit more difficult for Kool-Aid to play in this position, I think they could certainly counter it. Or have a good shot at least.
Or someone go below and classroom maybe?
Or even nade someone from below if they get control of split.
Yeah, that's true too.
Lobby.
Yeah, if you know that Kool-Aid's waiting for the late reinforcement, you could have a grenade below waiting for him. But again, this is a lot of vertical play that maybe they're not ready for, because that does take practice. A lot of that's not easy to do per se. But at the same point, yeah, the time is running out though. They may have gotten that pick and Eska with a great read, but time is still ticking. They're down to that last minute almost, and they haven't pushed into the building. They haven't even pushed in to stop Penguin or push Penguin back into sight. And there's Giddy pushing into Armory. Finally, Penguin's going to run off, but there's only a minute left, and that's what Kool's going to do exactly. Light reinforce, and now they just got to wait and bunker up.
Giddy had the right play there, and it actually almost cost Penguin his life since he was getting aggressive at the exact wrong time, but he manages to rotate back, and now we're in a 5v4. IF does have the man advantage, but with only 50 seconds left, they have to open up this bedroom wall, which they will do successfully, I will add. Melted trades it out onto Subarctic. Man advantage now equalized, and Giddy is stuck between an Aruni gate and the rest of his team, so he has to burn it in some way, maybe with a Candela or a smoke, but both those are useful utility that he might be hoping to save for the execute. Now they're finally moving on in. Vivid and Giddy both inside. Giddy catches Spirits, getting maybe a bit over-aggressive inside of Attic, but one spotted rotating in just a second later, trades out his teammate by getting Giddy on the Ying. Those Candelas now gone. Vivid still keeps it in the lead for IF with a kill onto Kool-Aid. Penguin prone below that Attic wall right now. Manages to find the kill, rotates back. Melted misses a lot of shots, some key ones in hindsight, but lands him in the end. Him and Penguin in tandem. Parabellum secure a match point.
Oh, that shot right there probably was a big point. But yeah, again, IF are crazy at just flooding. But at the same point, they have such a problem when it comes to flooding to really create a plan in that same second. Unless they know where these players are at and they get those kills. And like you saw right there, they were not in exact positions. Having Penguin lay down inside of Attic and shooting a trophy was not something you expect. And then having, the player in bunk still running around, playing the pistol, denying the plant there too. And really, he's just same thing, different round. I wonder if that was actually, remember that round when they won that 2v4? Was that against Wichita Rolls, or was that, I think it was Wichita Rolls, they won that 2v4.
Yes,
earlier today, yeah. So that's just, that was a very similar outcome right there.
Well, and also, I mean, Penguin said it in chat, and we made a joke earlier about how sometimes Parabellum, through their trash talk, was doing the analysis for us, and that's a case as well. And I want to see how PB set up their defense this go around to illustrate that point, because 2 rounds now, PB ran that same defense, the exact same defense they ran earlier in the day as well. IF played it the exact same way, maybe a little bit different allocation of utility, but it was the exact same outcome with pretty much the exact same setup from IF to try to deal with it. For Parabellum, this is the only defense they have lost so far, and they staked a lot of it on a hold in Big Tower that, to give credit where credit is due, was adeptly cleared and well cleared by IF. Did it extremely quickly, got a kill in the process, no complaints in that regard. Benny, there's nobody in Big Tower for PB this time. They saw it got cleared out quickly, they're not doing it again. There's an adaptation on Parabellum on their defenses that, even though it's close, is not happening to the same degree on IF.
Before.
Oh no.
He shoots, he didn't go for his time. Yeah, Kool-Aid did that exact kill in the, I think it was regular season as Maestro last time, where he shot through that window lying down like that last time and got a kill. I think it was a while ago on Oregon, but he almost did it again with an SB11 this time. That would have been crazy. But yeah, no, but you say that Penguin's still sitting in a similar spot though.
But he's not on T3.
Well, yeah, there's no way T3 this time, so at least that person in T3 won't die, but Penguin's still in a very similar spot to where he was last time. Will IF be able to, deal with him, or is he just here to waste time as per usual? Hard to say, but the big thing last time was the fact they won based on having, the man advantage, then rushing into kitchen, flooding and dealing with the players on site. Can they do it again? But where are they going to find those picks? Unless they push, dorms upstairs.
Penguin, my friend, you probably should start rotating out at this point. There are 4 people starting to coalesce around you. You are playing with fire if you continue playing this position, especially because he has a C4, but again, there's 4 nades around him, and he's sitting in Big Tower as everyone is huddling around him. This is kind of a tricky spot, in all honesty. What is he pinging right now? He's also rotated from a different spot. They'll have to drone, be like, okay, where is he? Oh no, please don't tell me they misdrawn him. Oh, dear Mary, Mother of God. Okay, they find him. Okay. That could have been the worst thing to ever happen. And Penguin gets aggressive, swings, and Arrow takes him down. Okay?
I thought we would have backed off after knowing he's been drowned.
I thought that too. Maybe thought he couldn't get out. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Well, there was the rotate there. There's a hole right there. There was nobody on T3 either. So it's like, maybe he thought that was going to jump in at the same time as he rotates out. Hard to say. But anyway, the next step is going to be dealing with the players inside attic, because they can't allow someone to play that hatch if they're going to go for the same play behind that table, get that plant down. Eska as well, playing below. The hatch isn't open though. I would expect maybe if someone opened the hatch, Eska go for a C4 throw during the plant and deny it, but the hatch is closed.
Well, that's the issue. Esko got the BP instead of the C4, so he can't even open it up. He's just got to never mind. He just has to rotate, take down Vivid, diffuser dropped at back tower stairs, and now IF are going to be in a little bit of chaos, wondering, okay, there's this guy downstairs we have to deal with. Giddy's already expending his utility in the site, but diffuser's still on the floor. They have to decide if they want to commit. Spirits and the rest of PB are still running rough shot all over their take. Giddy's lost a hell of a lot of HP to the smoke, and through the smoke as it fades, the man count is even. Spirits has retaken Big Tower, can attack from behind the attack and close this match out 7-5, but all of IF bloods in the kitchen. With 5 seconds left, the coverage has to be superb. They spot the head of Melted, popping up over the sandbags. We're in the red zone. If the planter falls off for even a second, the round is over. Spirits runs in, he nails it down. 7-5 victory for PB on IF's map pick. They managed to close it out when the time hits 000.
That was a crazy round. That was just, it was at first slow. You saw Penguin, he goes for that really aggressive peek. He loses it out. We're kind of scared. They're like, okay, what is going on here? But Eska, I thought he was going to go for a C4 later on, but he runs up the Big Tower stairs. The diffuser gets dropped because, unfortunately, the player with the diffuser was on those back tower stairs. He gets that kill, and he still plays it, still trying